Good evening, and welcome back to Three Swords Gaming as we continue our Guild Wars 2 personal story playthrough. This evening being a little bit different because this evening we're doing one of the meta events, which is tied into the story, right? This meta event being the Dragon's End meta. So we're here in the map of Dragon's End, and I got started pretty early because if you want to be on a successful map for this meta event, you have to get started pretty early. You really need to probably like 15-20 minutes after the last meta ends, you need to start looking for a group that's forming, because the way this one works, the way participation for this meta event works, um, the groups form very early, and you have to participate very early on. Part of that is to get this Dragon's Den contributor, and part of it is to advance the preparations here that you see, and part of it is that it's just successful groups are in demand, and usually like per meta event there's only a certain number, so all these things together kind of result in difficulty getting into a group. You got to get in early. Because we got in early, that means we've already completed our green bar here. I really would have preferred to do that while I was recording. I would have preferred that because there is a little bit of dialogue that goes along with that. Marjorie and Casimir talk to us a little bit when we complete the green bar. We did miss that, but it's not it's not like a deal breaker when it comes to the story. We're still gonna have continuity. We're not gonna lose a lot. There's one thing we can do right now while the map is kind of going through additional events. None of which, because our current readiness level is already high, I don't feel like a huge obligation to get involved in very many more events. I've already met my obligation helping them get that readiness level to high, which is one of the reasons people start so early. Is that makes the meta event kind of easier to complete. It's more desirable to have this readiness level high. So I participated in that, and as a result, the green bar got done. But now that we got the time, what we're going to do is there is an achievement associated with talking to some of these folks before you complete Extraction Point, go into the next, the next instance. And there's also another achievement here. So that's Competent Commander. We're going to do that right now. And then by doing this meta event at this stage in our story, before we do the final instance, we're also going to get True Ending, which is interesting that they chose to do it that way. It's kind of a weird little achievement that they inserted that is not like, there's no achievement like that for Dragon Stand or Dragonfall or any of the other meta events that I'm aware of. I don't even have it on my main account because I just haven't bothered to do it. One of these days I will on another character. I'll advance it to this point and then do the meta event. And there are some folks who definitely feel like this is going to be a harder achievement to get. If you don't already have it, it's going to get harder going forward as Secrets of the Obscure drops and maybe less people are doing this meta. I don't know that I'm terribly worried about that because I think this meta will remain in demand for quite a while. But just the same, it is something that some people have stated. So let's talk to these folks. Oh, or let's help them kill some Void real quick, I guess. Alright, how do you feel about talking now, Brotherhood Lieutenant? Alright, the Brotherhood is not sitting this out, but once things return to normal, don't assume we're all copacetic. What do you need? How's the situation here? Oh, we're doing our best not to die. Well, that's a good start. We're getting great data seeing which of our Jade weapons do the best against the Void. Some of the more corrupted ones have turned on us, though. Well, that's not good. It's not good. But alright, I guess it goes that way sometimes. All good. Actually, while we're right here, it appears there's a master point nearby. Let's grab that too. Just because we know we're going to need these after we're done with our story playthrough. While we're, because once we're finished with this part of the story playthrough, we're caught up. Yes, Secrets of the Obscure is going to drop in like less than a week. However, I don't think that, while hopefully it'll have like some meaningful story content, it's not going to be enough to carry us for an extended period of time, so I'm probably going to return to doing some 0-0 stuff, kind of do like a second chapter of that. So with that in mind, those master points are going to come in handy because I'll probably be utilizing them during 0-0. So yeah, let's grab that. So let's continue to hunt down some of our compatriots that we're going to check in on we'll kind of wander through the map. See, I believe there's 5 of them, if I'm not mistaken. I think it actually says. No, it doesn't say how many there are. But if I remember correctly, there are 5. So we'll look for those. I believe there's another one along the western edge of the map here. Another note as we approach this meta event, something that's important. If you've never played this meta event, which might be like a little weird for that to happen, but if that were the case, one thing I would encourage you to do is...
The void energy is being neutralized by my crystal. Thank you, champion.
Yeah, I just missed that event, actually. Is to utilize these, right? The Jade Tech defense protocols. Enter the meta event with Jade Tech offensive overcharge and Jade Tech defensive overcharge at like at least 45 minutes each. And that's with the meta event actually starting. So with where I'm at right now, I need to continue to kind of stay on top of them. I actually prefer to enter the meta event with them at like an hour, just so I know I'm good. Although I don't think it's actually possible for the meta event to run that long without failing. But just the same, I like to enter with knowing that I have an hour on each one of those. They do make a notable difference in your ability to execute in the meta event. All right, Zunlai Lieutenant. Commander. Junlai, is it Junlai or Zunlai? Junlai Jade is proud to serve Lady June in the war effort. To that end, she's made it clear we're to follow her or your orders. How may I be of help? Tell me about this part of the front. We have been supplying all the forces with as much Jade Tech support as we could pull out of our warehouses, but supplies are running low. Everyone's supplies are running low. This will be over soon. If only that were a real thing. If only running low on supplies meant that a war was near its end, right? Unfortunately, that doesn't tend to be the case. People who really want to prosecute a war will continue to do so with World War II era tanks and endless waves of soldiers going into the meat grinder. So, too bad that life does not emulate Guild Wars. Guild Wars 2 in this case. All right, I guess that event's done. Let's continue to look for... We're not going to do this master point right now because that one is like a puzzle, and I don't want to take the time to do that right now. It's not tremendously difficult, honestly. It's really not bad. But I want to try and find those other folks to talk to before we get started. See, where does this put us? 1-7, 1-6. All right. We're not in bad shape. Truthfully, that's probably enough with where we're at leading up to the meta. But I will probably grab each one at least one more time prior to the meta starting. Now you can, if you have a stack, like right now I have 3 Jade power charges, you can just find one of those and charge it repeatedly until you're out of battery charges. So there's no need to like try and like space that out or time that out. You can absolutely do it 5 minutes before the meta. Alright, we got another person to talk to right here. I think there's another one further to the east as well. So we're just going to kind of circle around like that. Alright, Ministry of Security Lieutenant. Commander Minsek stands ready to assist however we're able. In fact, I've heard reports that Detective Rama is already out there somewhere. What can I do for you? Give me a sit rep here. Oh, look at that. An actual military term. How impressive. We are trained to fight in wars like these, but it's all been academic till now. Needless to say, the real thing is very different, but our forces are doing their part. Indeed, best military plans tend to only hold up until first contact, right? Should we grab this? We're literally right here. We might as well.
Is it just me, or
Oh, I think I fell. Did I? No, I didn't. That's just how that Vista works. Okay. Oh, I don't have that. Oh, no, that one's like a thing that you do. It's like an event. Not exactly an event, but you run some beer to a thirsty char, and you got to get it to him a certain amount of time. It's not actually like that bad. It's pretty manageable, but it does. Like when I did it on my main account, I think it took me 2 or 3 tries. So we'll do that another time. We're not hurting for mastery points, I think, on Ended Dragons. Let's see here. Yeah, we got 22. It's not terrible. Alright, I think we're looking for 2 more, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know for sure that it's 5, but I'm reasonably confident that it's 5. We're also watching over here to see when the timer starts counting down to the actual event itself, because obviously, with like all this buildup and all this time dedicated to this meta event, it's nice when when the meta event actually starts. It's like finally, you can advance on something that you want to advance on. And that's one of, honestly, the number of things that I don't love about this meta event. This is by no stretch of the imagination my favorite meta event. I think it has some very critical weaknesses. One of those weaknesses is that while, yes, it has gotten easier to complete to a degree, I do still think it is slightly overtuned for like the average Guild Wars 2 player. I think ArenaNet overestimated kind of where the average player was at, and there are a lot of people who are like real unhappy with this meta event, even to this day, even though it's gotten easier to complete. All right, Speaker Lieutenant. The speakers agreed to support this campaign because the Void threatens all of Tyria, but trust me, we'd rather be anywhere else. Well, that's not necessarily the attitude we want going into the battle. Tell me what's happening here. Oh, did we just complete that? Nope, 4 out of 5. It is 5, okay. Well, we're drawing as many spirits into the battle as we can. It's never been easier. I suppose that's because they're all willing this time around. Yes, it makes a difference when you're on the side of right. And yeah, I suppose whether we're talking about a spirit or a person, it's usually easier when someone is willing to, particularly when you talk about like violence and the risk of like loss of life. It's usually better to involve willing people. Turns out that people who do not want to be involved in a battle are more likely to retreat. I know that's crazy, but after years and years of studying the art of war, I can assure you it is true. So counterintuitive as it may be. All right, so we're still missing one. Is it maybe back here in this temple? It might be back. Oh yeah, here it is. It just popped up on the map. They do pop up on the map, but only when you get close enough for them to do so. There we go. Let's see, who is it? It's the Kestrel Lieutenant. Yes, we have not talked to any Kestrels yet. Hey, buddy. What's up? Kestrel Lieutenant. Well, Ayumi said I'd likely run into you, Commander. The Kestrels are doing what they can against Suwon, but it won't be easy. How can I help? Well, how are the Kestrels managing?
Another personal victory.
We're used to working in very different topography than this. Yes, because most of the Kestrels, like, we associate them with Ekavald Wilds, right? Which is very different than this map. Ekavald Wilds being like these huge towering forests. And in that sense, like a really impressive map. It just doesn't feel good to be in. And I think what makes it impressive is also what makes it not feel good. Kind of an interesting dynamic there. Normally we're hidden, taking advantage of being overhead, but we're holding our own. Good to hear. Say thanks to Ayumi if you see her. Okay, so we have we've completed that achievement. We're really just waiting for the meta event to start. I don't know, to be fully honest, how much time we still have before that will happen. Where am I going? I just turned around and I don't know why I did that. Okay, let's get out of here. Let's head back up north, and let's take this opportunity, because I haven't really talked about this map as a whole much at all yet. So, oh, didn't I already do this event once? I 100% already did this event once. We'll do it a second time, and I'll talk a little bit about this map. Like Dragon Stand, this map exists exclusively for the meta event. Now, there are some differences from Dragon Stand. In that Dragon Stand is kind of non-functional if you're not doing the meta event, aside from a few hero points. Whereas this one has a number of things. You can still like occupy yourself on the map, even if the meta event's not taking place. In fact, the meta event reduces your ability to do other things on the map. But it's nothing like Dragonfall, where an entire Living World season takes place on the map. In addition to the meta event, nothing of the sort happens here. All these different events and stuff that take place besides the meta event are kind of in support conceptually to that meta event. It does work okay though. So I certainly would not want to suggest that like it's a bad map. I don't think it is. I think it's beautiful in its own way. As I said in the last video, I think one of the things that it has going for it is that they interrupt the like ubiquitous jade appearance with some other things like these rocks and woods and stuff like we see in this particular area, as well as some interesting architecture. If they did not do that, then I think what would be potentially lovely would end up looking like really awful.
Monastery. Gods know I had my doubts.
And we can kind of see that here, right? If this whole map was just this Jade Sea stuff, it might not feel as good. But because we have these other dynamics here, it feels much better. And the map is really dominated by this tower in the middle, which is going to be a prominent thing when we actually. Oh man, we still got half an hour. Eesh, that's brutal. All right, well we'll goof off a little bit because I've already started recording. I'm not gonna stop now. And actually, how far? Oh, we're still 15 minutes from Jade Maw. We'll make sure to try and grab Jade Maw. And I think actually like that'll help us out with like a elite spec weapon and some other stuff. But this tower at the center is really not only does it kind of dominate the map in terms of the map's appearance, and of course it's complemented just incredibly by like these jade spirals that are coming up around it, like the ones that we're on right now, right? Yeah, it's also central to the meta. So when we get to the meta event, and really the culmination of the meta event, then we're going to see that take place right here. At this point, we should still be able to scoot over there. This becomes blocked off at a certain point in time. But yeah, right now we can still scoot over there. So this is the Harvest Temple. This is where the culminating battle takes place, and it's also, of course, a strike mission, which closely duplicates the story instance for this for this encounter. Takes place as well. But like this effect really is what it reminds me of in terms of kind of the aesthetic and the feeling is that shattered tetrahedron like pyramid thing in Crystal Oasis, where they have like this gravity defying dominant terrain feature that kind of pulls you towards it, just in terms of how interesting it is. Man, so we're definitely going to need to, if we get 26 minutes before the event starts, we're going to need to boost these up to like 90 minutes or more. Or that's probably what we'll aim for at least. Oh, look at event down here. Might as well grab it. So these are the events that would have filled the green bar if, oh, this is ending. I think we missed it. But there may be a follow-on defense here, so we'll stick around for a minute. These are the events that I had planned on utilizing to fill up our green bar, but I had to join the map so early to be sure I was in a successful map. In fact, out of curiosity, let's take a look here. I bet this map is already closed. This is not... Oh, this is us, but we're already full.
Time to do some real
So, yeah, I would have expected that. So, a half hour before the event even starts, we're already full. And honestly, we were probably full 10, 15 minutes ago.
Like the Luxons and Kurziks of old, you fought as one and were stronger for it. As a reward, you have my blessing and strength in the coming void battle, while the shrine sprites protect the temple.
So I think this is the same skin, just slightly larger as the mount skin, or very similar at least. At its core, the same skin. I don't think the mount skin has like this little kimono type thing on the Shrine Guardian or whatever. There they are, up there. They moved. They moved on us. It's interesting that we only see one of these. As far as I know, this is the only one like this that we see anywhere. I don't think that's because ArenaNet omitted it in some way, like, oh, we should have used that more and we didn't. I think they wanted it to appear only once. I think they wanted it to be a unique and engaging thing, and not, a commonplace thing that you see in the game. This is another one of the really interesting kind of terrain features or landmarks. It's not a terrain feature; it's a built thing. But one of the interesting landmarks on this map is this giant, the Argo crawler, like this huge machine, presumably which is used for, whatever, like jade mining or whatnot. A very interesting thing to look at, kind of fun, all the way around. Presumably it did actually like crawl around at one point, but now we can see that, its legs are planted on like these different stones here, and then, it has some sort of apparatus like reaching down in the water, but I don't know how easily it could climb around now that its legs are planted on these rocks like over the water. Is this not like... Where's the thing? Surely there's one of these I can grab to move. I should be able to take one box and put it on this one so it matches this one. No? Huh. Weird. I don't know if I've done this one before. And apparently I don't know how. That's okay. So since we do have a lot more time than I realized, why don't we go get that master point right now? Yeah, we're so far away from this event, I might even run out of my drink. That'd be catastrophic. Seriously. So this will be interesting, because I am not, by any stretch of the imagination, like a pro at this. I may struggle. We will see. Let's put the pet away, so he's not a distraction. This charging station is malfunctioning. Would you like to attempt repairs? Yeah, I mean, I'm a crafty sort of person. Why wouldn't I try to repair it? Oh my gosh. Oh, I got it. Okay. Because if it had been one longer, I probably would not have got it. I was struggling there at the end. And you have to do it pretty quick. When Ender Dragons very first launched, the obvious solution to that for me was to like have a notepad and like a pen, and just write down the sequence and then duplicate it, right? Like, obviously, super easy. And the amount of time that it took me to like write and then duplicate, it would like time out, and so that didn't work. Ultimately, the first time I got it, I actually got really easy, and it had like a tremendously simple sequence that like at one point there was like 4 straight of the same color, and so that obviously made it a ton easier. What are we on time? Let's see. Alright, we need a couple more defensive protocols. I'm sure we'll run into one here in a minute. We're going to kind of drift over to where Jade Maw is. So the Jade Maw on this map, I was kind of intrigued by the fact that they included, the way they did this with Jade Maw. And I think I kind of like it. So the Jade Maw fractal, in theory, takes place at some point in the past, when the Jade Sea was like newly formed or whatever, and you're encountering Jade Maw, and it's like this daunting thing. And I think the idea is that the Jade Maw, after all this time, still persists. And while it's slightly, it works slightly differently because it's an open world thing instead of a. Wait, where am I? Why am I lost and like not sure where Ma happens? Bridge. Oh no, it happens like right over here, I think. It's fundamentally the same. Slightly different, fundamentally the same. Yeah, here's where it takes place. I think it happens at 45 after. But everyone is already at the staging point. It's kind of early for everyone to just be hanging out at the staging point. That's kind of interesting. I mean, they can do whatever they want. This group formed so early and like completed everything so early that I think everyone's just waiting for the event to start. And I would too. Honestly, if I were not recording, I would simply park this character and go do something else, like, and come back in 15 minutes. But that's no fun. Like, that would make this super boring, right? There's nobody over here, though. As full as this map is, as many people as just hanging out, I would definitely expect people to come over here and do it. So we'll hang out. We'll see if people do, in fact. I already got this 0.9. Yeah, I did. We'll see if people come over and get involved. So this is like the primo time. We were to skate over here real quick to see like what everybody, like all their show off things. Come over here and everyone's got like chairs, their fancy chairs out, or they're tromping around on their turtle. This is actually a little bit of buzzkill. We don't have that much of it. We got a little purpley cloud over here. We got the super adventure box chair. See what else? I kind of like this floating like jade chair. That's kind of a fun one. That wouldn't be my first choice, but everyone's got their own thing. Here's the jackal chair. That's actually a chair. That's not a mount. I do love this chair, and in fact, is there still a seat left for us? There is. So we can join whoever's chair this is. Probably the person in the middle. I think when it's your chair, you're the one who ends up in the middle. And you can share it with 2 other people. And we got like a little robot here making noodles. And if you use your 1 skill, you can also eat noodles. And we all love eating noodles. So, like, hey, at the end of the day, if it's worth like $10 to you to eat imaginary noodles in an imaginary world as somebody that you're like nothing like or whatever, like if that's your thing, cool. I found it charming enough that I spent the $10 on the noodle stand. Like, I don't particularly like feel like a whole bunch of grief over that. But certainly, if someone were to say, "Hey, that's a really stupid purchase," like I wouldn't necessarily argue because it is absolutely a stupid purchase. So is paying $7 for a coffee with like way too much sugar in it, right? So we all make stupid purchases. Make that one if that's what you decided. All right, are we gonna get some Jade Maw here? I thought it began in like 1 minute. Someone else thinks so too. It's that person right there, actually. I don't think I've done it on this account, so I'm not sure that there's like I don't think there's a master point associated with it. But the elite spec weapon for Harbinger, which is the Necro elite spec that was introduced with End of Dragons, that weapon has 1 item, although I think we would have to complete it with a Necro. So I don't think we're going to get it on this character. If we were on our other character, then I think we would. There is obviously no way I'm swapping characters at this point, because I would almost certainly not be able to get into this map again. And that would be like disappointing. So
Somebody help! There's a void outbreak!
a void outbreak. That's like so scary.
So we meet again.
Oh yeah. So is it?
Isn't here to see this.
Oh, my character actually has dialogue referencing. I never noticed that before. That my character has dialogue referencing the fractal. I actually really like that. I think that's super cool that they included that. Lots of fun. Okay, so we got our crystals here, just like we do in the fractal. Now, unlike the fractal, where like like a single person is targeted by the laser beam, that doesn't happen. Instead, we have these fields here. Whoop, almost lost my cursor. And we want to make sure we grab a crystal and get in the field because that's the only way we're going to damage Moss. So now that I, successfully charged the crystal by being in the field, I can repeat the process. If this is not like a terribly hard event, if a whole bunch of people like know what they're doing. However, if you end up in a map where like there are a lot of people who don't necessarily understand the dynamic, maybe they haven't done the fractal or they just for whatever reason they're not familiar, then it can in fact be a struggle. There's plenty of crystals around, but we'll go ahead and kill this guy just the same because why not? The event's progressing remarkably quickly anyway, so might as well. Ah, look at that, right here by the next field. Now, one interesting thing about this this event is it ends just like the fractal does. So we will need to try to grab a crystal when the oh, rats. Oh, and we didn't do it. Oh, we actually though. Oh yeah, we did get downed. Oh, was that not the end? It's gonna do that again at the end, and it's 100% gonna. Yep. There we go. Did it get everybody? Nah, there are a few people running around. Someone will get us up. Oh no, it's still up. Huh. Oh yeah, Void Corrupted Colossus. Well, there we go. Defeat the Jade Maw without getting struck by its tentacles. Well, but we did get struck by the laser beam. Alright, let's see, where do we end up? There we are, dead in Group 7, so Group 7 will be East. East ain't so bad.
I could outrun a centaur.
Not a fan of center. It's not to say center is actually worse. I kind of like this chair too, even though I didn't buy it. It is fun for Asura because Asura like fit on it nicely. Let's see, what do we got here? Is this a human on it? I think that's a human male. Works alright, I guess.
One becomes two.
We have nothing to show off. Do we even have a chair? I don't remember. I don't think so. We haven't even done the chair achievement for like the basic chair. Oh, we got one of the icy chairs here. Let's see. 1 hour 11, 1 hour 10, starts in 10. We're good. We're good. And we will have ample opportunity to grab more of those if we really feel the need. We're not going to be hurting on that. 10 minutes is a really long time. Why don't we try and grab some jadeite? I think with 0 to 0, when I resume that, I kind of do a second turn on that. I think getting one elite spec weapon will be among our goals.
The Great March southward is about to start, and it looks like your current region is fully prepared.
Thank you, Keith. An Ender Dragon's weapon might be the most likely way to go if that is going to be one of our goals. The End of Dragon's elite spec weapons are not particularly bad. But the reason I mention it, they do require a certain amount of jade. We probably actually have the jade we need to just do one weapon. Now, another goal we could set for return to 0 would be to get a certain level of like jade core for our jade bot, because those do offer like various statistical bonuses as you raise the level. So I have no desire to like grind it out to like a level 10. But if we said, hey, let's try and get like a level 4 core, that might not be so bad. Something I'll entertain. Oh, hey, buddy.
Clear the wither.
So you can't see right now because of the little, like, I guess it'd be like right here. Yeah. Thing that I use to cover chat is the commander is giving like some pretty solid directions in map chat. Not every commander does that. I don't know that they're obligated to do that, but if you want to quote unquote command and you want to have a successful run, I guess it benefits you to go ahead and do that. And that's what the commander's doing right now. Going through. So what the commander's talking about right now that's actually is worth noting is there's a phase that has like a lot of narrative stuff involved, a lot of lore built into it. When you chase some like glowy orb things, we are going to do that. It looks like what the commander of this particular group asked for is that phase 2. It looks like we're good. We can go ahead and jump in on that. And I really did want to because of what it brings to the story. So we're going to go ahead and do that. It looked like maybe the commander was asking for specific people to participate in that, but I think we're good. Alright, well, let's head back. What do we got? 6 minutes? It's going to feel like an eternity just sitting there, but... Oh, one more thing we can go look at real quick, actually, because it's not that far away. There is a really interesting... So when you complete this meta event, you get the opportunity to go down and listen to Suwon and Irene talk. And it's in like a hidden cave. And that hidden cave gives you access to a whole underground, like, underground flooded caves, like underground river kind of thing. And when I, initially I thought that was, that you had to complete the meta event to get down there. And there's like some reasons that you would want to be down there and stuff. But actually... you can just access it here, and you can go almost all the way to where Irene and Suwon have their little conversation. So there's a whole network. We're not going to go way back in there because we're going to return to the starting point for the meta, but you can come back here. And there's also like this is if you want like the legendary axolotl. If you're pursuing your fish collection, you're going to end up down here, if I remember correctly. I think that's the one that I came down here specifically to get, if I remember right. And my daughter is like in love. She's in love with axolotls. Like they're the coolest thing ever. So, I made a point of taking her down there to get axolotls. We don't need mithril at all. Let's mine it. So one thing I don't have on this account that I suppose I could. So I did recently go ahead and pre-order the expansion.
We're about to march south and pick a fight with an Elder Dragon. Meet at the quarry. We'll set off so we can reach her before nightfall.
We'll do, Captain Fa. That was the lovely Captain Fa speaking there. I did pre-order the expansion, so I got another inventory slot here. I got a booster in there. We'll use that during our return to 0 for a specific thing. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, so that booster is going to stay there until we're done with our story playthrough, or done with End of Dragons at least. Um, in the meantime, though, I went ahead on this account. I wouldn't do this on other accounts necessarily. I did this on my main account, and I did this on this account. Gem store still doesn't work well. I went ahead and I got the like deluxe package or whatever it is. So I got the gems that go along with that. One thing, I would never get that because that's I think that's a foolish purchase, the preparation pack. But in general, like unbreakable salvage tools are a nice thing to have. Now, if you really want like the skin of like something like the Choya, or if you really want the glyph associated with it, then by all means buy one with like these ridiculous skins. You know, here's a glacial one. You can even preview it if you want to know what that effect actually looks like. But there is, I don't know if it's for sale right now, but there is just generic unbreakable tools which don't give you like, you know, particular animations, but are slightly cheaper to have the unbreakable. There we go. So a savings of 600 gems, almost 10 US dollars, $7.50. You do not get any cool animations, but there you go, all three of them, and you'll never need to buy harvesting tools again. I'm probably not going to buy that. I might think about it just because we got the gems. I prefer to wait till Secrets of the Obscure drops and see what kind of things end up in the gem store after that drops. But maybe we'll get some unbreakable tools. And, you know, maybe we'll even drop the money on, let's see, what is that? Glyph of Reaping. That one's actually really good if you're in a rush. What is this one? Glyph of Alchemy. Crucible. That's interesting. So I'm going to get lower level wood and higher level metal. Although I suppose I could find a way to like swap them or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. Probably not get the ones with animations. Some folks are like very dead set on getting the ones with animations because some of the animations are faster than others, and so they are under the impression that by getting the ones with the fast animations, they cut down their farming time. So this would only make sense if you were bound and determined to like do a large amount of farming and you wanted it to take the least time possible. Then let's see. We want power food. I think this is power food. Let's take a look. It is not. That's like celestial food. Is this the power food? Shows you how much I actually use food. Nope, that's Condi. Power precision. Alright, nice. We'll grab the thesis. Get us EMP. Alright, we have all the things. We are as prepared as we can be, with the exception of, I think this goes up, stacks up to 10, and we're at 8% right now. So we did fall 2 events shy of actually maxing out our Dragon's Den contributor. Now, besides the stat boost there, the other thing that can potentially impact is there are when we complete the meta event, I assume with this group that we're going to without too much difficulty. I sure hope so, I'll tell you what. When we complete it, there will be a whole bunch of chests. There's one big chest, there's 4 medium chests, and there's a whole bunch of small chests. The number of small chests that you can open is based off your level of participation. Last time I did the event, I actually got into a good map, participated in a few events, left, cooked dinner, came back, did not have particularly high participation. I think it was like 3%, and did not get to open treasure chests. And that's what I get for going AFK while people were doing the events, right? I would argue that that's ArenaNet's fault for making a meta event that legit requires you to dedicate 2 hours of your life to one meta event. I think that's really bad design. It's one of several things that I think is really, really poorly done about Dragon's End. I can't imagine why they thought that was like a good idea, but apparently they did. It needs to take half the time. Oh, yeah. There's no reason for a meta event to last more than an hour. If you dedicate more time to one meta event than you dedicate to like raid clears, then the meta event should be more rewarding than the raid clear. Like I understand like difficulty is a factor and like people feel like the more difficult an event is, the more it should be rewarding. But I also think there's something to be said for like how much time you dedicate to an event and how rewarding it is. And in that sense, Dragon's End just does not pass the common sense test. So in addition to my concerns about it being slightly too difficult, it becomes doubly unrewarding when you have to spend 2 hours to get like full participation, and which again we don't even have technically, and to really be like fully involved in the event. And imagine dedicating 2 hours to an event and then seeing it fail. So there are a whole bunch of players who were like, I had a bad experience. I dedicated 2 hours only to fail. With the health bar at like 3% when the timer ran out, and that felt so bad. I'm never doing the event again. And then there are players whose response is, well, that's your loss if you never do the event again. But I think if we take a step back, I think for most of us, like it's really understandable how that would feel so bad that you're not going to take the chance on trying again. Yeah, I'm like a-okay with that. Like for instance content, it's different, right? Because some people really enjoy like wiping 77 times before they finally succeed, and that feels so good to them to succeed. But open world is everybody, and not everybody falls into that bracket. You can't please everybody, but there is something to be said for like designing content for like your average player or the common denominator. And I feel like like Dragon's End just misses that mark thoroughly. All right, so we got our team here. Timer is now running. We've got our team. We're waiting for who's it? What's it? I can't remember who has this lane. If it's Captain Fa or no, it's Navon. This is the Navon lane. Here she is arriving right now, so we'll get started. We're gonna start out here with an escort to encounter the first salt spray, the corrupted salt spray dragon.
Trust me, but now isn't a time for finger pointing.
The Brotherhood is a plague. What you ask of us is an affront to everything we stand for.
You forget your place. Hold your tongue. Continue.
Thank you. It was my understanding that Cantha's well-being was the Speaker's utmost priority. Surely you won't let your grudge stop you from coming to its aid now, when it needs you more than ever.
We're under attack. The Void Storm's spreading fast. We're fighting them up. You're on your own for now.
Oh, that sounds really bad.
It is. Which is why, as detestable as the Brotherhood may be, this temporary truce with them is necessary. The time for talk has passed. Our day of judgment is at hand, speakers. We move south.
All right, so I wanted to catch all this dialogue because it's related to like the story of why this is happening, like the background beyond what the commander's doing, right? That's the whole reason I'm doing this meta. It's not for my entertainment, because I've made it clear I don't particularly enjoy this meta. But we want to understand what's going on in addition to the commander's battle, and this is it. So Tetra Earthcall, I'm sorry, is like the leader of the speakers, and we heard some stuff about her, in earlier story about her being like a warden who convinces all these people to engage in like semi-terrorist or outright terrorist activity and so forth. So that's who that is. We just saw that personage or that individual. And so we are in what is essentially like the speaker lane over here. The Jade Brotherhood are in another lane. And we're all cooperating together to try and win this battle. So a little bit of funny dialogue we missed because we're actually like doing the event here. By the way, so I'm behind Navon. At least I'm not on top of her. You don't want to be on top of Navon during this phase. See how she's going so fast? Is because people are giving her super speed. But if everyone is on top of Navon, then they will take the super speed and Navon won't get it. So you don't want to run right on top. Either run ahead of Navon, which is what some of these people did because they know the event well, or run behind Navon. And the same would be true of every lane where there's an escort. And really of most escorts in the game, certainly in the second half of the game's development. When you're doing escorts, if you want to speed your escort, then don't run right on top of it like while you're trying to give it speed.
Sounds like one of those Jade Tech water filters.
Doing a bad job of grabbing these things. So we're gonna grab these things and throw them towards the crystal, essentially like cleansing the magic. Alright, there we go. We should get the Salt Spray Dragon. Go team.
I feel good.
Salt spray dragons aren't to be underestimated. Keep your wits about you.
Alright, we should get a break bar here pretty soon.
Keep pressuring
Should be
it.
nice. There we go. So like definitely I could have used electromagnetic pulse there, and by all means do so. For whatever reason, I like to hang on to my EMPs until I get to the final stage of the meta event, which is kind of silly because when we get to the final stage of the meta event, 100% someone is going to put up another station to grab more EMPs. So probably I hold on to those for no reason, like it's probably just wasteful, but I can't help myself. It's like habit.
What is on your mind?
Alright, let's see if we can actually get ahead enough on this time.
It's a shame we had to kill it.
So this heart symbol, that's one of the lieutenants designated as such by the commander. That's a really good system that I'm glad ArenaNet implemented. Basically allows well-organized groups, particularly a situation where maybe they're all in the same guild, so they know each other and they've already worked out responsibilities in advance. That allows the commander to delegate certain things down, and thus increase the organization level of a map. So like this lane we see has both the heart and star on it. So by following the heart here, who's running this lane, I'm not sure what the deal with star is. Maybe they'll be engaged in some sort of something later. But the heart is running this lane. By following the heart, I know where I need to be at all times, even though the commander, who's let's see, who's that? Klaus Wolfenbach over here. The commander's engaged in another lane and doing other things. We still have leadership in this lane. So while I do think there are still things that ArenaNet could do to improve the commander system and the the tags and so forth, I do like that they have this lieutenant thing, which allows Brass Arm here to which is a good name for this character, I think, to run this lane. Actually, that is he did a good job on that tune. That is a good looking tune.
They'll have to hit much harder. Wither.
So this is one area. This event is not necessarily the best example because we don't see it being like a major factor here. If anything, because I think people are already clearing it. But in fact, yeah, that's what's happening. Is people are clearing it, so we're not seeing it very well manifested. But if we watch closely, we should see that some of these enemies may have shields over them for a time, and those shields are cleared by the turtles, like laser shots. It's an interesting dynamic where they try to make the turtle worthwhile, because they introduced a mount that honestly has very little use in the game. Like it really, it's more like a prestige item. And I'm not even seeing the shield, so maybe it is the event that happens before the meta, not during the meta. But bottom line, like they try to find a way to make the turtle useful, because ultimately, the real story is that the turtle's not very useful. And that's throughout this meta event. We're going to see some other times this meta event where again they try to make the turtle useful, because if they don't introduce mechanisms to do so, then the turtle is just a big dumb slow thing that two people can fit on. I understand the passenger can fire laser beams, but it honestly, in my opinion, doesn't feel nearly as rewarding as you would hope. I do not enjoy being passenger on a turtle. I don't find it engaging at all. See, there we got one right there. We could actually, can we jump on? Let's see if he's got open boarding. All right, so see, we can. We're a passenger now on the turtle. You can see this #1 skill here is Turtle Siege. And actually, we have a responsibility now because we're on this turtle. For this portion of the event that's coming up here, we're going to have to assist in the attack on certain foes and whatnot. He's also got like a gem store turtle skin, which is, that's kind of a cool skin. I can dig it. I mean, many of the turtle skins are really cool. And the turtle's cool, I guess. If you're playing with like one other person and the two of you are like close or your buddies or whatever, and you want to like do stuff together, and you're looking for like a fun way to do that, then the turtle is kind of a cool way to get involved in that and like do things together and feel like you're, you know, like it's a team type thing. But so are combo fields, and the turtle like I understand this is supposed to feel really good that I'm like firing these laser beams and trying to like destroy this void crystal and stuff, but it doesn't feel all that good. Like this is not like engaging content in my opinion.
The path is clear. Let the assault begin.
There we go.
Clear out the area and destroy that crystal. Yes, ma'am.
I ran out of charge. I fired the gun too fast. I'm firing way too fast. I don't even have the ammo to support. So you're gonna move around, so we're not even gonna finish clearing that one out. And I'm just moving around. That's okay, we can recharge ammo while we're on the move. I almost feel committed to like staying on here. Like I feel like I owe it to him to stay on. Well, are we through? Okay, I no longer feel that obligation. So for me that's just not fun. Like that nothing about that really felt good to me. Maybe that's a personal thing, and maybe like I should shut up about it because everyone else like really likes it or something, and I'm just not hip. But I don't believe that's true. Like, I think I am, in most ways at least, like, relatively representative of the, like, average guild. Oh, you know what? This guy's got this mechanic. I need to be out here. I think in many ways I'm representative of, like, the average Guild Wars 2 player. And I think the average Guild Wars 2 player probably does not find Turtle to be nearly as engaging as the studio would have liked.
secure.
So is the Jade Brotherhood base.
And we've cleared the observatory. Aurine's here, and we can see the Harvest Temple.
I'm going to focus my prismatic energy at the barrier protecting Su Wong.
Hold up! We've got void popping up all around us.
Same here.
It's like they're creating a blockade between all of us and the Harvest Temple.
Careful. It's corrupted Elder Dragon magic that's been combined. We don't know its power. Champion, as you cleanse the previous outbreaks, I felt the magic as it was released.
Okay, so with this one, I believe instead of, I think this is the one, we'll find out here in a second. Instead of throwing the magic, we just stomp on it. Like, we just run over it and basically gather up this purified magic.
But I know one thing. I'm going to
Yeah,
use
this is it.
every bit of it to
So
break
when you
through
see
the
this
barrier
magic fall,
covering Su Wong.
like, you want to run onto it.
Go now. Release the Elder Dragon.
And as a result,
There's an
it takes
increasing
almost no
pool of
time at
void
all.
energy near you.
Alright, we
Be
need to find
careful.
the champ. All indications are, at the moment at least, that you know, this map is plenty capable. I said it a couple times during 0-0. I always like feel good about my chances for success if I'm the least competent person involved in something. Now with a meta event like this, while I am certainly not a rock star of any kind, I'm probably not the least competent person on the map, but like obviously like I am surrounded by players who are as good as better than I am for the most part, and that's a good feeling. I would rather that than be the most capable person on the map. That would not feel good. That'd feel terrible. In fact, I would log out. I'm not even gonna lie.
I'm channeling
I
all the
would
drawback
quit.
magic now.
Cool, right? I think that's cool. I mean, you know, design-wise, you know, like thematically, there's a lot of cool stuff going on. This is like really fun thematically. Unfortunately, gameplay-wise, I feel like there are improvements to be made in here. So that's where we want to be. I think they're waiting on the... Is there a legendary or champ that spawns like right over here, I believe? Alright, let's head over there. And then that'll be followed by an event where we gather magic
I'm missing an element.
over here, and
Grandfather.
these have to happen at the same time. And so occasionally you'll see a map just manage to botch that up completely, because that's what we do. We botch things up.
There is only void, and a dwindling time before you join us. We are bound to the nothingness, and all will return to it.
I should probably quit running over to the void magic.
She
Or
is
the,
one with us.
you know, the bad magic.
Su Wong, follow my voice. Reach out. Find
There
it.
we go. Got the champ here. Yeah, not legendary, champ.
Why are you here?
Destroy it. Release Crackle to release magic, and I will shatter the barrier
Don't you
protecting
realize
Su Wong.
this barrier? It's protecting you from me.
So because of this, the way this playthrough is like playing out, it's exceptionally difficult for me to actually like be able to address all the dialogue that's taking place. And it is good, and it is relevant to the story. So it is kind of a shame that I can't address it all. You know, for example, right there, Suwon just said, hey, you know, this barrier here, this isn't to protect me from like you and your efforts. This is to protect you from me. Those are cool touches. How are we doing on the defensive one? Let's go ahead and grab some. Those are cool touches that unfortunately are likely to get lost. Which one we do want to do? What's this one? Let's do this one. Why not? Those things can get lost with everything happening in the event.
Can you and
There's
others
like good
protect the
story
magic
stuff here
contained
that
within
is
the
hard to
crystals?
catch.
With our lives. Good. I must fly to Logan, see what state they are in. It may already be too late.
Swirling gust. Defend the crystals. Buy Aurene as much time as
I love the fish thing here.
seeking out the crystals.
That was a Black Line chest exclusive initially, and I don't like the Black Line chest exclusive thing. I really think that's not good for the game. I understand like they make money that way. I get it, but it just, man, that does not feel good. Like, why not just play a gacha game at that point? And I like gacha games, but you know, part of the reason I like gacha games, they're honest about what they are. There's no confusion when you play a gacha game. There is no confusion about like what you are participating in at all, right? And I like that because it's honest. I know exactly where my money's going to and like why. Whereas with Guild Wars 2, like it's meant to be perceived as like a thing that's you know, not like that. And then, but yet they, you know, things like Black Line chest exclusives. Now it is like that. Now it's a gacha game. So not good. However, the skin itself is fantastic, and now it is available by exchanging the Black Line statuettes. They did introduce this thing, Black Line statuettes, which is like a pity system for the RNG of the Black Line chest. And that's good that they provide that, but it's bad that they need to in the first place. I can't help but wonder whether or not it's possible for them to make a profit in this game without loot boxes. Because I'd like to say, oh, they totally don't need loot boxes. Maybe that's not true. Like maybe the you know, in the thin margins of gaming in 2023, like the only thing that keeps this game profitable is Black Line chests. That would be sad, but you know, maybe it's true. Oh man, are we gonna make it? So these are designed to be, you know, to potentially be thrown from one person to another. So you're not making this run like I just made. It's not necessarily the most efficient way to go about it. But I'm also not the smartest person in the world, so.
Come in, Commander.
How we doing, by the way? Ice Brood. We're not the worst, but we're not, you know, we're definitely not doing the best of the groups. Now, truthfully, there is some room for error, to where, you know, they don't have to end it literally the same. Oh, this one started out in a bad spot. They don't have to get done at the exact same moments. If one finishes and the others are still working, there is the potential for them to like help each other out. So hopefully, like the one that just finished, whichever one that was, hopefully they are all on their way over to help out other lanes to prevent this from being. Oh, that one's there's not even any point in this. Oh, they're all done. Okay, cool. I no longer need to worry about it.
Commander, but they're still coming.
Mine. All mine.
So many.
I brought some friends.
It's me, Commander. Just show us.
Oh, Canuck. So this can be a little bit frustrating if you don't have zip lines. You can do this event without zip lines, but boy, this part where you have to hurry up and get up here, you're like using Bunny to get all the way up here, and then you're using updrafts to get from there to the top of Harvest Temple. You can do it, so like please don't let me give you the impression that without zip lines you can't do this event. It's just a real nuisance. Now you're using updrafts to get all the way up here.
3, 2, 1, fire!
Okay, so what I don't remember is, do I have emergency waypoint on, or personal waypoint? I do. So I recommend setting a personal waypoint, and like usually appears in the chat, remember to set your personal waypoint. We're gonna set ours right now. We're gonna set it right here so that we can come back right here if we die. At least the first time. I think it's only good that once, but I don't generally have to use them, so I don't remember. But there's a good possibility we may have to use it at some point. And if we do, we save a ton of time. Now, if we use it up and we can't use it again or whatever, there's a waypoint that's basically circling around here. It's an airship being captained by Logan Thackeray. So, like, we don't have to come from, like, here, or never mind, like, back here. We, you know, we can start relatively close, right? But right now, we have this available to us, which means we can start right here in the middle of the fight. And that's what we want. And I am so happy. What are we at? 1:10. And I was on the map for 20 minutes at least before I even started recording. Given my work hours, I'm actually an hour away from going to bed. I've had to dedicate to this. Again, just one of the, like the worst aspects of this meta event. Real trash in that regard. How are we doing on our food? 32 minutes, we're fine. What about our banners? Oh no, we do need the banner again. We'll grab that banner again, but we don't need more food. We're fine on food.
A landscape of shattered dreams and death. And all due to me.
Cool dialogue.
It can end here.
Little emo, but cool.
The end will come fast, and death will be your deliverance.
She's luring the void toward the temple again. If I don't stop it, you'll all be encased. I'll break you down. Hold this area while I'm gone.
So this one thing that's challenging about this meta event, beyond like some of the stuff that I've talked about that is a huge problem, is something that's just kind of a Guild Wars 2 problem in general, which is the visual noise during this event is bananas. I mean, it is brutal. And I don't know that there's any sort of like particular solution to that, because it's simply the game design. Oh, I did not mean to bound that far forward. That's what I get for being bad at this game.
And now you must join it.
Quick, stand around the impact site. I'll protect you.
Alright, so we're going to do the green circles. Whoop whoop, here we go.
Do not fear your state. You are not.
Alright, so what we want to do is jump up to get these wandering memories. And the wandering memory is going to recharge. Oh, I think I missed that one, didn't I? Yeah, I did. I missed that one too. Now we're like falling down. That's bad. Team is relying on me. Alright, we got that one. Got that one. So this recharges the jumps that you have. But if you look in your chat box, which I'm going to have a hard time moving because I'm doing this thing right now, but your chat box will show whispers like another player might whisper you from various characters in the game. So I have Air saying, "My time as a hero has come and gone. You're the hero Holbrecht needs now." I have Traherne saying, "This is it, Commander." I need to hurry up. Let's see, where am I? All right, we got back in time. I would have liked to have gotten back faster, but
Darkness is a blessing. Close your eyes and feel it wash over you.
bad dodge. It's all right. We got our personal waypoint. We're right back in the fight. Oh, but now we need
Watch her mouth.
that again.
Don't let it hit you.
So, full disclosure, I'm not the best at this meta event by any stretch of imagination.
Run! She's about to snap at you!
I'm not the worst, but I'm certainly not the best.
Look out! More tsunamis! Strengthen the pack.
So if I understand correctly, there is like an RNG aspect to this,
Clear of her mouth.
which is, you know, when you get like her doing certain effects. And it used to be that some of them would like bug to where they would get stuck happening and it wouldn't get past that phase. And that was, you know, like super frustrating when that would happen. I was on a couple maps where I had genuinely dedicated like time and and then only to have like the event bug out.
No more of
Not
this.
not a good feeling.
It's poisoning me.
Cooling down.
These things have come to what? Close your eyes and feel the emptiness wash over you. You cannot avoid the undertow, pulling you toward nothingness.
All right, so this is the part where it bugged on me in a previous playthrough, and I was just tremendously annoying. We sat with it like this for like 5 minutes, waiting for something that obviously after a while we realized obviously nothing was going to change.
I'm forming a weapon for you. It's nearly ready. Now, pass the prismatic sphere into her before everyone scatters to the wind.
Please, leave here before you are all destroyed.
One through 5 west. We're 1 through 5, right? Didn't even make it because I was reading. Shame on me. All right, so here's that waypoint I was talking about. So thank you. What's his face?
Good to be fighting with you again.
Yes, thank you, buddy. Alright, we didn't miss much. Still, I hate... So, interesting dynamic with... Oh, we're going way too fast on this side.
You will obey.
Drying off. Maximum pain.
Way too fast. Holy moly.
The void will never beat us if we stand together.
Reach deep inside, and you will feel the emptiness already growing there.
Oh, and they killed it too. Why did they do that? They probably should not have actually killed it. That's okay. We can probably get this guy in time. But, man, that was a really weird decision on their part. Because that timer, you need to kill these close to the same time. And that timer is pretty short. Alright, well, we got it, which is nice. And probably no thanks to me. I really didn't have a lot to do with anything, but...
The void will never beat us if we stand together.
But yeah, so interesting dynamic. Because this one is harder, I actually feel more obligation to perform well, not less. Because I feel like the team is, everyone is more reliant on everyone else to play well. And so it's kind of an interesting dynamic of like a harder meta event versus a meta event where everyone's just pushing one, which certainly is some meta events, and we don't want that, right? No, we don't want a meta event where we just push one. But the flip side is like, we also want meta events that we can succeed at. Sometimes this one, for some folks, didn't feel that. This run's going, fantastic though. So we, certainly have no reason to have like Harper.
Another bombardment.
All right, so we're gonna do the little orb thing again, the floating orb thing again. Except there's a lot more green circles. I'm not sure. That they wanted me in a green circle last time. I think maybe they did have specific people chosen because there was only a limited number of green circles. But it's okay because we achieved what we needed to achieve there. So, I only feel a little bit bad.
The loss of life.
All right, so more dialogue that we can just barely hear. The whispers in our chat. It's My Trin saying the loss of life will be incalculable, right? And we remember My Trin kind of made that transition from like villain to hero. She kind of had her little redemption arc by saving New Kaineng City. So now we hear her. Now I hear Forgal. So Forgal is specifically because this character was Vigil, right? It would be our mentor of whatever our order was. Again, for this character, that is Vigil. Forgal said, I need some help over here. We're over here, as indicated by the little shield. We get close, we can use Becoming Whole, and we're back in the fight. I think that's a really, really fun mechanic. So if there's one thing that, like, if you were to ask me to nail down, like, one good thing about this meta event, that little thing there might actually be it. I think that is a great thing. I think it's great fun. I think it adds an interesting dynamic to the meta event. It's not solely predicated on your combat ability. Instead, there's a whole nother dynamic to it that's like interesting. So I like that a lot.
Close your eyes and feel it wash over you.
Managed to kill myself again.
Stay clear of her mouth.
That was me just not paying attention. I thought it was a different phase. So 100%. Just bad play.
Look out!
Oh, I'm on my way, Commander.
They're stuck. Help them now, or she'll get the upper hand.
I feel good.
You are all weaklings.
Another acid attack.
See, now I don't have my electromagnetic pulse because I just died. So I'm just gonna bust out the CCs that I do have and do what little. So compared to an electromagnetic pulse, like the CCs that I pulled out are really like inconsequential. But if you don't have electromagnetic pulse, then you do what you can. All right. In this case, not having electromagnetic pulse was just a result of me dying when I didn't want to die and shouldn't have died. But certainly, if you're a player who just didn't have that available yet, then it's fine. You don't have it available. You have CC available though, so put it to use.
Keep that energy flowing toward me. I'm nearly ready with another spear for you.
I'll break you down.
Help me.
All right.
They're stuck.
I didn't catch which one. Let's see. 4 through 6 is east. Did we go east?
Zuan,
No, we went west.
listen to me.
All right, east is over here.
It's me, Aureen. Look out!
Wither. You sick? Strengthen the path.
How are we doing? Let's see. We're on Crystal and Fury. We're actually ahead of the other two. So right now it's close enough that we probably don't need to like back off, but we also don't need to panic over here, especially since I'm on my ass at the moment.
Reach deep inside, and you will
So I'm
feel
not
the
contributing.
emptiness already growing there.
Alright, we might actually want to slow it down a touch now. Just kind of auto attack here for a minute. How we doing? Yeah, they're catching up. Fire and Conflagration, I think, is kind of the hardest one.
That's how I do it.
I'm sorry, Zuan. We have to do this.
And that one's all the way on the other
Is
side.
beginning, and the beginning will be nothingness.
That's alright. They're gonna get it. Like, we don't have to panic.
Free me.
I jumped too high.
Look out! More tsunamis! The void will never beat us if we stand together.
The end is the
Stay
beginning,
clear of her mouth.
and the beginning will be nothingness.
So this is about the phase in the fight where it gets like pretty chaotic. And early on,
She'll get the upper hand.
this was like immensely frustrating when you'd reach this phase because it felt like you were very close to succeeding, but then you felt like oh, come on, man. But then you felt like you couldn't do anything at this point. I don't want to say like it was hopeless, but it just felt like you were overwhelmed. And that didn't feel good. So These days, it's not as bad.
Tortures me to say this, but hit her! Hit her hard!
The pain.
Don't waste this opportunity.
Too much.
We should just about have it. I don't know if we're going to just burn it right here, but we're close. Yep, we got it. There we go. Well, very pleased that it didn't fail, because that would have been a bummer.
I've got to go after her. See what is left.
Okay, and we're going to do that in a minute. We're going to go see Irene, who is going to see what is left of Suwon.
So many dead. So much sacrifice.
I never thought I would see this day. May the gods be praised.
I never thought I'd see us all fighting as one.
I'm with Suwon, hidden underground. You can follow the trail I left. Champion, she wants you here.
Of course she does, because who doesn't want the commander around? Everybody wants the commander around. Okay, so you can see if you have the participation to support it and you're on a successful map, there is, like lots of loot here to grab, and that's nice. I still don't think it's actually worth the time invested compared to like, Heart of Thorns metas and so forth. But maybe it'll get to that point one day. Maybe with power creep and with player proficiency increasing and stuff, maybe that's the case. We'll go ahead and grab that mastery because that'll benefit us in the long run. Let's go chat before we call it a night, which I'm looking forward to doing. Let's go chat with Irene and Suwon real quick. And it's worth noting, not only are we going to get lore from this, but you actually, we'll come back to that.
The drinks are on me tonight. This is going to be the mother of all celebrations.
All right, cool, Cholmu. We'll actually get to know Cholmu more later, towards the end of Dragons. Not only are we going to get lore from this by going to listen to Irene and Suwon chat, but there's actually achievement associated with doing it, with listening to it 5 times. Okay, so I think we're just going to hop down there. We should see them once we plunge into the abyss. So this is that same cave system I was talking about earlier. And here we got Irene and Suwon talking.
I'm so tired. The others, are they safe?
For now.
I didn't want to hurt anyone.
What is this place?
It was the beginning, where I brought my children into being when all was timeless, cold, and empty. And with their coming, I watched as the world grew all around, full of hope in the warmth of a maturing sun.
Primordus, Procaltoric, the others. They were all here as the world formed?
A while, yes. I created them as tools, mindless as nature, to stay the Void's unrelenting push toward entropy. But here, so long ago, there was a time they called me Mother.
Okay, so I mean that's really interesting from a lore perspective.
I saw you facing up against Suwon. Let's just say I was concerned. Good to see you all made it through.
Thanks, Logan. Appreciate you checking in. So I guess we can leave squad now too. So this is this is so like I mentioned, this is 1 part of 5. It is very interesting. Dragonette, the Elder Dragon's kind of being tied to the beginning of the world and all that. Super cool. I mean, absolutely, without a doubt, super cool. And then of course, under different circumstances, like maybe we would, we'd go fishing from here, and we'd make an effort to try and catch us some axolotls and all that business, right? I think cavern fish, and I think maybe it's even like a certain time of day or something. Let's see here. End of Dragons, fishing. And I think it's specifically the map here, Dragons End Fisher. Cuttlefish, axolotl, cavern fish at nighttime with night crawlers as bait, right? So we could go for it right here. However, I do not have even a little bit of interest in that right now. My patience is completely exhausted. But we got what we came here for, which was that we got the opportunity to see the meta event versus the personal story instance when it comes to um, when it comes to how the story plays out, what the lore is, and so forth. So let's find a good spot. Let's see, right here. Yeah, look at that. We got Areen and Suwan back here in the background, and we can wrap it up here. So thank you for being patient over the course of an hour and a half as we play through the entire Dragon's Den meta event. It's kind of a brutal meta event, but we have completed it, and that's going to pay off for 0 to 0 as well. It's going to open the door for us to work on our own turtle when we get to that, so that's cool
This
also.
battle will be written about in history books. I can't believe we were a part of it.
Me either, Captain Fa. It's truly dazzling. Good times to be had by all. When we come back and we return to just the story in terms of like the instances, the personal story part, then we will be doing the commander's portion of the confrontation with Suwan, and we'll be seeing a different side to that, which is not drastically different, but it is a bit different. There will be some different dynamics in play and kind of some interesting things going on there. So that's what we will pick up with next time, and I hope you have a good evening, and I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.